You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real as Roland Martin Unfiltered. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered daily digital show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. You can make this possible. Today, the U.S. Supreme Court heard oral arguments in a case that could very further erode the Voting Rights Act. This deals with the Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act, a case out of Arizona. At issue, two Arizona laws. The first, which bars the court counting of provisional ballots cast in the wrong precinct, and the second bars the collection of absentee ballots by anyone other than a family member or a caregiver. These challenges to the Voting Rights Act are a direct response to the massive voter turnout of people of color in the 2020 election. In today's hearing, the Republicans with the Republican National Committee admitted that they need voter suppression in order for them to win. Listen to this exchange.
What's the interest of the Arizona RNC here in keeping, say, the out-of-precinct ballot disqualification rules on the books?
Because it puts us at a competitive disadvantage relative to Democrats. Politics is a zero-sum game, and every extra vote they get through unlawful interpretations of Section 2 hurts us. It's the difference between winning an election 50 to 49 and losing an election.
Okay, thank you. My time is up.
50.
Not sure why Justice Amy Coney Barrett cut him off there. Ooh, I would have loved to hear more he had to say. Joining us right now is Judith Browne Dianis, Executive Director of the Advancement Project National Office. Judith, glad to have you back on Roland Martin Unfiltered. Bottom line here is this here. Republicans need to cheat to win. What we are seeing is that you've been using the courts to deconstruct and break down how we got to this point. The Voting Rights Act has been one of the most important laws ever passed in the history of the United States. It was gutted in Shelby v. Holder. Just as John Roberts said, hey, there's really no need for it anymore. Look at black turnout. No, black turnout is what it was because of the Voting Rights Act. And so this case could erode Section 2. This is why Congress must act. Democrats cannot use a filibuster as an excuse not to pass a comprehensive bill that, named after John Lewis, that will fix the problems in Shelby v. Holder, plus what may come down with this decision.
Yep. So, Roland, I mean, first of all, let's put this in perspective. Like, they have been going after the Voting Rights Act for quite some time, not even just in the Shelby County case, but even before that, right? And so it's the Voting Rights Act. And if you think about it, the attacks on affirmative action, right? They are trying to dismantle all of the civil rights laws, and the Voting Rights Act being one of the most powerful of those. And so what we are seeing right now is a case before the Supreme Court that would put the nail in the coffin with regard to the Voting Rights Act. We lost Section 5, which allowed for pre-approval before laws were changed. Now they would take away the part of the law that organizations like Advancement Project use to challenge voter suppression laws. And so, we should put this in perspective. This is totally about dismantling civil rights protections. It is totally a power grab. It is totally an effort to keep power in the hands of the Republican Party at the state legislature. And they are upset, as we see in state legislatures across the country, that they have put in place, or they are trying to pass new laws to make it harder for us to vote, because we turned out record numbers. And they know when we make it easy for people to vote, black folks are going to turn out.
But the issue here is not just black voters, Judith, and that is it's Latino voters. It's young voters. The numbers don't lie. By 2024, there'll be more Gen Z millennial voters than baby boomers. What they are trying to do, and majority of those people are people of color. That's who they're targeting. And they're targeting older voters. Bottom line is this here. They need to contract. They need to somehow shrink the voting population. And so what they're doing in Georgia and then 43 other states, the bills they've introduced, this is real. And so Democrats, Kristen Sinema in Arizona, hey, get your head out of the sand and realize that your opposition to ending the filibuster, if you do not fix this, guess what? She will be in the minority in 2022.
Right,
The House.
right. I mean,
Democrats will lose the House and the Senate if they do not pass a comprehensive voter bill. You must expect the worst from this Supreme Court.
That's right. We have to get the John Lewis Voting Rights Advancement Act passed. It is important for us to have a restoration of the voting rights law. I mean, this is serious. Like people need to be calling their senators, pushing on them and saying, we don't want any excuses about anything. We have to get this protection, because what we know is, Roland, is that, yes, the browning of America and the number of young people who turn out makes them upset because they want to maintain power. But the other thing is, we're getting ready to go into redistricting. And so not having voting rights protections as we go into redistricting and figure out how we're cutting up the political pie, and we have no protections for Black and brown people, is going to be detrimental to political power, not just for 10 years, but 20 and 30 years.
Yeah, I mean, simple as that. And look, COVID bill has been passed, and I keep saying, I don't want to hear anything from Democrats. I don't want to hear jack from President Joe Biden about infrastructure. The voting bill is the next one. Mm-hmm. That's the next one, period. I don't get, damn all this bipartisanship and no. You don't confront the voting issue, you are guaranteeing that Republicans will do political gerrymandering. You're right, because of redistricting. You're talking about controlling the courts. We see what's happening in Pennsylvania, where they want to get rid of these statewide elections for Supreme Courts and go to district judges because they do not like the fact that Democrats have a majority of the Pennsylvania Supreme Court. They don't like the fact that Democrats have a 4-3 majority of the North Carolina Supreme Court. And the only reason the North Carolina congressional districts were overturned as racial gerrymandering was because they took control of the state Supreme Court. They won on the political gerrymandering on the federal level, but they lost on the state level, and that's why that white judge ran against the sister in North Carolina and beat her by less than 400 votes. Democrats had also better pay attention. You cannot let Republicans control the courts, because they pass the laws on the legislative side. They control the courts to affirm the laws that they pass. They control the Supreme Court. They can run the table.
That's right. I mean, if we look at this, all these states that are now taking up voter suppression laws, what they're trying to do is roll back mail-in voting, not allow people to have absentee balloting without an excuse, take away the drop boxes, cut back to early voting. All of these tools that they know are the things that Sunday voting, right? Souls to the polls, getting rid of that. And they know that if they are able to do that in state legislatures, and they've controlled the courts now with all these Trump appointees, that they are going to actually get rid of all the protections that we have for civil rights. And so this is the moment in which Democrats have to have a backbone and get that bill passed.
Absolutely. Judith Browne Dianis, the Advancement Project, we really appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Roland.
Folks, you heard Judith mention what's happening there in Georgia. We told you yesterday how they passed a House bill when it came to this onerous voter suppression, but also in the Senate, they passed a bill that gets rid of no excuse absentee voting. That took place on one of the Senate committees and now goes to the full Senate. Folks, what we are seeing again is a massive, massive attack on voting that is happening all across. And so in a moment, we're going to be talking with an official there in Georgia, Nsé Ufot, CEO of the New Georgia Project, about this very issue. Right now, though, I want to bring in my panel, Laura Victoria Burke, NNPA, Mustafa Santiago Ali, former senior advisor for the for environmental justice with the EPA, Benjamin Dixon, host Benjamin Dixon Show podcast. Lauren, this is how major. And again, I know people might be saying, okay, Roland, I mean, you're trying to make it sound like this is urgent. This is urgent. I mean, what we're talking about is Republicans are playing dirty. They absolutely are scared to death. You heard them talk in that Supreme Court hearing. They are scared to death of what happened in 2020. For them to lose Georgia to Biden-Harris, for them to lose 2 Senate seats in Georgia, Republicans are sitting here going, wait a minute, we could be losing North Carolina next. We could be losing Georgia next. If Democrats actually got their act together in Florida, they could be competitive in Florida. We see what happened when it came to Amendment 4 there as well. They see that there's a train that's coming. There's a train that's coming, and they see it coming, and they're like, yo, we trying to divert this train as quickly as we can, or it is going to run over us.
Right. And it wasn't, of course, just Georgia with Joe Biden and Kamala Harris winning Georgia. Obviously, it was Raphael Warnock and Ossoff winning Georgia. That was an unbelievable grand slam home run by the Democratic Party. Unfortunately, the Republican Party, the only thing they really know how to do is vote suppress, and they don't want to change any of their policies to make their tent bigger, to have more people come over to their side. I can never figure out why that's not part of their strategy, but somehow it somehow never is. The other thing that needs to happen here is that Chuck Schumer needs to really wake up. You know, this idea that you're going to play nice with these people, and he can't even get near a 10 and over the line. And I get it. You know, it's a 50-50 Senate. It is a difficult situation for Chuck Schumer. But at the same time, you know, if we were talking about a close vote in the House, everybody would be talking about how Nancy Pelosi's legacy was over if she wasn't able to deliver some of these close votes. And with Schumer, he seems to have a problem right off the bat with the usual suspects. You know, it's Sinema and Manchin. He should have known he was going to have that problem. I mean, he's got to at some point crack the whip. You're going to have a ton of close votes. You know that. You know the Senate's 50-50. So, you know, being buddy-buddy with these people and all that doesn't work. Schumer's been in the Senate long enough to know that. And now you're going to get some huge monumental close votes on things like the John Lewis bill. You know, should they even take it up, which they should. But you see them already sort of punk out on the minimum wage. You know, it's like there's no fight there. It's just sort of, oh, I guess, you know, somebody's going to defect, so I guess we just have to give up and go away. Schumer has got to figure out a way to keep 50 people in line. He's got to do that, or these things, particularly on voting rights, are just going to be lost for a generation.
Ben, this is real simple. You do not have 10 votes on the Republican side. Doesn't exist. You don't have 10 votes. You're not going to see 10 Republicans vote with the Democrats on any bill. I don't care what it is. Maybe infrastructure, maybe. Keep in mind, these are the same Republicans, every House Republican opposed the COVID bill. That's money to their broke-ass constituents. Go back to when Obama was president. They voted against the stimulus bill. And then they went begging for the money after it passed. So they will vote against this and then still try to come back and try to get the money. You Democrats cannot trust any Republican. Fine, maybe Murkowski, maybe Collins, maybe Romney. But hell, Ben Sasse just voted against Merrick Garland to be Attorney General. Based upon what reason?
Absolute politics, right? They're playing real politics, and what they're playing a zero-sum game, as we heard in that clip. They plan to give nothing and take everything, and then as they deny these different pieces of legislation, they will turn around and campaign on the failure of not passing that legislation. Republicans have had this strategy for some time, and it's really sad that the Democratic Party isn't hip to this yet. Or perhaps they are hip to it, but they're more concerned with their friends across the aisle, or they're more concerned with protecting the institution than protecting the people, because they have more respect for the filibuster than they do for the people who need $15 an hour and for this legislation to help protect us from all the things that Republicans are doing across this country to suppress the vote.
Mustafa, is called, you got to be gangster. You got to play hard. You got to play hardball. You can't play soft. And this is one of those deals where, you know, Senator Joe Manchin bitched and moaned about Vice President Kamala Harris doing interviews in West Virginia, and literally saying she had to somehow get permission from him to come into West Virginia. Senator Joe Manchin, kiss my ass.
Yeah, he's not the gatekeeper. And, you know, Schumer and Biden better learn about throwing some bows because they're running out of time. I mean, you know, the midterms will be here before we know it. And the reality of this situation is if folks lose their vote, because that's what this is really all about, Black and brown folks and young people, as you said, actually losing their vote, then the agenda that you were elected on will never become real. Because these folks will continue to throw roadblocks and procedural things and all the things that they can come up with to stop you from being successful. That is the game plan. The game plan is for Joe Biden not to be successful. So you all cannot help them to achieve that goal. It's the same thing they did when Obama came in, where they said, we will make sure that he is a one-term president and that he is not successful on anything that he's moving forward on. If they showed us anything different, then we could run a different set of analyses. But we know what this game plan is. This has been the game plan for decades of dismantling these bedrock sets of laws that are in place to make sure that people just have the ability to fully participate in the democratic process, in the civic process. So you know what time it is, do the right thing, and move quickly to get this stuff done.
All right, folks, back to our Roland Martin Unfiltered video in just one moment.
It's time to be smart. When we control our institutions, we win. This is the most important news show on television of any racial background. Y'all put $2, $3, $4, $5, $10, $15, $20, $30 on this and keep this going. What you've done, Roland, since this crisis came out in full bloom. Anybody watching this, tell your friends. Go back and look at the last 2 weeks, especially of Roland Martin Unfiltered. I mean, hell, go back and look at the last 2 days. You've had sitting United States senators today, Klobuchar and Harris. Whatever you have, you can bring to Roland Martin Unfiltered to support it, please do, because this information may literally save your life.
Watch Roland Martin Unfiltered daily at 6 p.m. Eastern on YouTube, Facebook, or Periscope, or go to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered Daily Digital Show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Our goal is to get 20,000 of our fans contributing $50 each for the whole year. You can make this possible. RolandMartinUnfiltered.com.